Right, well this solar panel array might be a bust before we even get as far as putting it on the roof. The gap from that point to that point I thought was 2 foot. It isn't. It's 1 foot. Problem is I built that roof a long time ago. I could have sworn I gave myself a 2 foot gap, so I was working to 2 foot. So from ground height it's going to be 16 inches once the alley's gone on, maybe even close to 17. Well, that's 3 inches, 4 inches higher than I can allow. Oh, excuse me. That's a few inches higher than I can actually allow, bearing in mind that that framework is on the floor. That's the other problem. So if I can't figure a way of dropping 3 inches off this, there is no point to it at all. I built the slope for 2 reasons. One was in case I decided to put a top box on the roof and it didn't stick out so far, or if I decided to put solar panels on the roof. That was the other reason for it. I didn't want to go smashing into branches and trees and what do you call it, bridges and stuff like that really. But as you can see, I'm going to be sticking out higher than the roof will allow. Right, I've sat here and I've drawn everything out that I can possibly think of a way of getting this to work, and it isn't going to work. There's 2 major factors going on here. One is the height. I can probably just about get it down to the right height, but it might stick out by 1 inch, and I don't even want that to happen. And obviously when I lift that front one up, because it's jamming at the moment because it's sitting too low, it just isn't going to work. So that issue. Right, new plan of attack. I didn't realise, I knew they were weak, I just didn't realise how blinking weak they are. There must have been a hairline crack in that one because it snapped, and they're of a cast construction. I don't think they're going to be strong enough, but I'll go with them for the moment. But I'm planning to get some 2 rose joints for that rear section and rework it so that becomes a lot stronger. And what we'll do is we'll get some female rose joints and I can just weld them straight down to that steel box plate. Unfortunately the front is what's hindering everything. Now I've managed to drop it down by cutting here and lowering, and I've now lost 1 inch and I am getting closer. I give in. This isn't going to work. There is way too much weight. By the time I've finished putting steel on all of this, it's just not going to work. I've got a girder all of this section here. I need to make a frame here with an A-frame going off. I've got the A-frame over there, but that's got to slide in. It's going to put a lot of downforce on these sliders, and I think eventually over time they're just going to bend up. It isn't going to work. No matter how hard I try, it just is not going to do anything. So I think what I'm going to do, reluctantly, extremely reluctantly, I'm going to measure that up on the roof, and then I shall make some steel plates to bolt to the insides, and we'll just bolt that straight down to the roof. Go. That's roughly what we'll sit. We'll make 4 brackets. We've got a bar running through here on the roof, so we'll make 4 brackets to screw through the centre, which I've got bolts for, and then 1 big bolt to go through with sealant and a plate underneath it. That will be hidden in the cupboard, or on this side there is no cupboard, so it will be in full view on this side, but that side it won't be. And then we'll make up a steel frame, just a piece of box steel going through the centre, bolted onto the sides of that one, and then U-clamped in place. It's the best I can come up with, and we'll raise it up in the air a little higher. Should be fine. I actually don't have anything else I can do. The turntable will not work. I've primed the back of these plates and sort of just chuck some green over it just to seal it. But we'll wire brush and sand as much of this back as we can, and then we'll put some etch primer on it and give this a good going over. I might even go as far as ordering some fake stickers for it as well, to put along the side, so it looks a little bit more like a purchase job. Whether I pull it off or not, I don't know. To lift this up with the solar panels on, it's going to be too heavy. That's going to be a nightmare with the risk of it falling, and my ladder will probably snap in half of all this weight plus my fat gut. So it's going to have to be mounted up as is, and the solar panels are going to have to be bolted on separately. But the problem with that is I no longer can drill the holes through here. I'm now going to have to go through here because I need to access the underlay bolts to be able to go through and do them up. Bit of a nuisance, really. Don't necessarily need to fit this to the roof. Actually, yes I do, because the centre has to be fixed to the roof rack, and these ones are going to the outside frames under the cupboards, or as many under cupboards as I can find, bar two, unfortunately. We're going to cut some more of these out to make some massive washers so we can squash everything together, but the main holding point will be the roof rack in the middle. These are just mainly for stability purposes. And there you see the problem. If I made a standard frame that just slightly lifted and then turned on the turntable, the frame to hold all of this weight would have to run the full width. And the problem with that is the corners will catch the slope. This physically isn't going to work, you see. Plus the extra height with that mechanism that I'd made. There's no way of reducing that height down. Tried. So the safety side of it is just not feasible. So what I'm going to do instead, I kind of made my mind up on this now. I'm going to put these up as they are. The brackets are all made. I'm just trying to make my mind up if I really need to do one in the middle, because I can see some serious flex there, but there is a roof rack underneath that, a point for that to bolt to. We've got the brackets made up there. We've just got to take the panels off. I've just sort of put them on to measure them up because I've got to make some side plates. I was going to bolt them straight through, but that means cutting holes in, and I don't want to do that. So what I'm thinking of doing instead is making up some plates to screw through to this bottom piece, because it's hollow there. As far as I know, I've got a wasp hovering around me. Literally just doing that all the way around, probably two there, three that side, two, and three, and using self-tapping screws, but also to hold this together I'm thinking black polyurethane Sikaflex style sealant, sorry. We've just got to get some rubber end caps just to tidy it all up. We'll spray it all nice and silver. Tool Station does some nice silver paint, and I think just to be a snob, I'm going to order some stickers which will have Collins Solar Frame and Co written on it or something like that. But here's the other thing I've been thinking about. If you look here, you can see where the sliding joint is to the bolts, and you've got a bracket there. If you was to get my saw and cut that across there all the way down, I have a saw that can do that. Reduce that in height, get loads of these together. I think I might just make a deck as well to go up on the roof at the front. I found a load of checker plate. I have an aluminium welder, although I'll probably end up having to get more gas and more aluminium welding wire, and I do need to improve considerably. But if I reinforce that with some corner gussets as well on all four corners, do the same plate system, except this time have them on the inside, not the outside, and have a strip of steel that runs the full length to spread the load better, I think we could have a nice rooftop deck. Put the checker plate on top, weld that down with stitch welding, cut a hole out in the middle with a hatch, and that would be a little bit longer than that, same width but probably to about here. So so I'd have that much more, and then some fold down handrails so we could use the same aluminium without it being cut on hinged stainless stanchions, so it all folded down neatly inside itself, and then put a lock on the external hatch. We could do that electronically so it don't rattle around when we're driving or flipping up and down all the while, and I think that would work well. It just means I've got to change the roof hatch that I've already put in, which is a nuisance because it's a big hole. What I was thinking about on that was a escape hatch for a yacht, but they don't accommodate fat buggers like me, unfortunately. They're a little bit on the skinny side. Right, etch primer. We'll shake a smeeder. I've cleaned up this piece here and we're just going to whip that over with some etch. Wiped it down, but I've only got white spirit, I'm afraid. That's all there is. We'll get an etch on there, and then we'll put a base primer on, and then we'll turn it around and start the next piece, which will be that one. And we're mainly concentrating on the outside edges, but we will clean up the inside, but only where I've welded will it get painted. Not going to see any of that. It's pointless apart from corrosion issues, and we'll cover the corrosion as well, and we'll wire brush all of that back and see what we can do with it. Ouch. There we go. We'll squirt some down on that. Oh, I was just stinging from sweat. So there's the first coat. I ain't going to give it any more than that. Stuff costs money for starters. Okie dokes, it's all sprayed up. Toolstation Quicksilver etch primer and their normal basic primer. The paints ain't too bad. I've used this before and it is actually long lasting. I've used it on various parts of my trikes over the years and have never had any corrosion problems. I haven't done the inside edge, I haven't done top edge, but I have done the bar that's going through the middle. Purpose being as I don't want rust dripping off this thing, because my drainage on the roof goes down the side of the van and I'll end up with a stain that I can't get rid of. At worst I'll be pulling the cupboard out to redirect all that water with a new pipe, and I don't want to be doing that either. So what's next? Well, we're going to get the power washer out. We're going to clean that roof down because the pigeons have left a hell of a mess up there. Then we'll lift this up and we'll lower that on. We'll put loads of sealant under these areas here, and we're just going to leave it balanced for the night. We're not going to take it off unless we get high wind. If we get high wind, I'm screwed. Right, I have drilled the holes and I have welded a big fat washer to the top of this nut. I'll tell you now, it's going to be a close fit, really close. I've counter sunk the bolt on the roof, which I'll show you in a minute. We'll put sealant around that, push that through, put a drill hole in here, put that through the bottom, do that up. If I can even get that on, we will see. There we go. One solar panel carrier. Now we've got to get the panels fitted. Each one of these was counter sunk, slodged some sealant in there, welded the washer to the bolt, and that should be now fully watertight. This was left overnight to go semi-hard, so as it acts as a better rubber gasket than just squeezing it straight down when it's wet. We'll let that dry and then we'll get a knife and very carefully remove all the excess. Not that you're going to see it, but I think that might be a wise solution to a problem that's going to come later, because this stuff is not sticking to this crappy paint, which I really wished I never put on, but I did. So that's that. Now I've got to get the panels fitted, one panel at a time. There you go, 2 solar panels. I've just got to get the mask and tape off. They're all strapped on and the wiring is ready to plug in. Any problem is I forgot to thread the wiring through. So I've now got to make something to be able to grab the wires. Oh joy. Anyway, we'll order some extensions and then we'll get some plugs made and we'll thread them all up to the converters, and then we'll wire the converters straight into the batteries. Happy days. As much as it upsets me not having the turntable that I originally planned, I am glad I haven't done it, because I have now put a little bit more roll in the body. I noticed when I was up there that it was rolling a lot more than it did before. Be it not that much weight, but enough. Now had I put that on that turntable system, can you imagine the extra height of being lifted in the air and how much more roll I would have got? I was asked, have I tilted them? No. They are static. They're not going to move. However, the other 2 that I'm planning to put up in the winter, they will eventually lift into railings up on that larger area, and they will lift into a slight angle, so they will catch the sun. That's the plan. I am exhausted. I am covered in damn sealant. It's everywhere. Hate the stuff. So we are good to go. Morning guys, Thursday. I can't really do much more. So I'm going to upload the video. So the question really comes, why did I not go with that mechanism in the end? Quite simple really. Several factors. Safety, major. The bearing broke. That told me that if that one could easily break, even though there was a hairline crack, because I found it when it snapped, I found a dirty area, that lost me all my confidence in the strength of the rest of it, to be honest. So it just wasn't going to be safe enough. I'd have had to have bought a load of solar oh hell bells, I would have had to have bought a load of heavy duty rose joints, cobwebs, at a cost of £65 each, and I needed 4 of them. Actually figuring out how to make this work, that wasn't that difficult. The sliders, I could have got rid of that and put the A-frames back on. I mean, I was actually thinking about doing so. We'd actually lowered those enough where they would have worked, and I could have cut that back enough to get that to flat pack, but I was putting an awful lot of weight up on that roof. And all through this, one thing that kept slapping me in the head quite hard was people. You just know, you pull into a campsite, you put the solar panels up, you turn them to the sun, and people are going to look. I've got the biggest vehicle at the campsite possibly, unless somebody else turns up with a bigger lorry. So I've got the biggest vehicle. That's going to take a lot of, it's going to take away a lot of view for other people. So you're going to have, guarantee this, some grumpy bag in the campsite. Oh my god, look at that, you know, the people. And then they go twaddling off to the management. I can't see the views because that idiot up, blah 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 blah. You get them. I've got 2 of them next door, so I know what I'm talking about on that one. So there was that factor. The other factor was jump on the moped. I'm 20 miles away filming. The solar panels are not set for an automatic flat pack. They won't do it. They'll turn to the sun, but they will not go down. That's just the one thing they will not do. A rainstorm hits. I'm not by the van. and then the wind picks up. Safety aspect of it. And then another thing, every time I was looking at that roof, I kept thinking to myself, I want a deck. Wanted that deck from the very beginning, but I kept saying to myself, it won't work, because I can't have that deck exceeding the height of the roof at the front. I can't. So moving on to it, I thought, can't do it. And then that bearing cap snapped, that one down there, and I just thought to myself, do you know what, Evolution Power Tools, I have table saw that is very much capable of slicing that stuff down, so I can have it that wide. That will go on the roof very tidily without compromising strength. I can weld some checker plate, because I can alley weld now. Well, I have the ability to do it, I just don't have the ability in the mind to get it 100% right, but practice makes perfect. So we're going to do a deck, but that means no solar panel array. The weight I've saved from just bolting them down flat has allowed me now to put a deck up, because the weights are about equal. But here's the best bit, an article I read a long time ago. A person was writing up about solar panels and saying, the only solar panel arrays, they're a waste of time. Solar panels are so cheap now that if you've got 2 solar panels, or you've got 4 solar panels and you've got them on an array, yes, you'll gain a little bit more power because you're angling off to the angle of the sun, but you don't need to. You just need to buy another panel to make up for the loss. The thing is, and it did point this out, if you don't have the space, then you're not going to be able to do that. I got the space, so I'm going to make a deck, and the handrails on the side are going to be made up of solar panels. That will give me 2 extra solar panels. At some point I got all 4 corners covered on the truck, almost. So it doesn't matter where I'm parked, the sun will hit at least 1 to 2 panels. So what I'm going to do is the sides are going to be electrically operated to go like that, but they're coming at a slight angle. And there'll be a panel on one side, a panel on the other. I'll even have enough room to put extra on there if I want, but smaller 12 volt ones, maybe. I don't know if that would be such a good idea though, because I'm running 38 volts on the back. I want to try and get another set of 38 volts, but I'm going to wait till winter sets in, because they'll become cheaper. At the moment they're astronomical in price. Always the case, isn't it? You buy a convertible car in the summer, you're going to pay max on it. You buy it in the winter, you'll get it 20-30% cheaper, because nobody wants them. So, safety, factor 1. Can't trust that thing left on its own. I can't. Proof was in that bearing. The framework would have worked perfectly, no ifs or buts about it. It would have lifted those up, it would have turned them to the correct angle. I got no beefs about that whatsoever. Was I capable of doing it? 100%. I don't want people thinking I quit, because I didn't quit. I just looked at the situation and thought, this is not going to be safe. I can't be having people mouthing off at me in a campsite. I certainly don't want to be laughed at, do I? So, although I think we're beyond that actually. Some of the crazy crap I come up with. So no, I'm going to do a deck. I'm going to make 2 solar panels fit the side of that deck as arm rails. The deck's going to be quite a long one. The only thing I haven't figured out yet is because I've already put a blinking sunroof in that does not open up like a hatchway. It's massive in comparison to an escape hatch on a yacht. The only thing I can think of is to put an aluminium plate down over the hole and then cut a new hole out, weld some alley sides to it so I can sink it into the walls, and then make up a piece to go underneath it, and then, I don't know, bolt it in place. That's all I can think of at the moment, and then putting a sailing escape hatch in place instead. Watch this space, that's something that's coming up very soon. I might make that over the winter though. Problem is it's a big area to weld up, and as you can see I don't have anything that's super flat to lay it out other than the floor in there. We are going to be getting to work on fixing the back of the shed. It's really rotten. we've got a lot of, I want to get that sorted out for the winter, because this is not going to survive another winter. We get hurricane style winds, I think I'm going to lose the shed. So the truck's going to get put down soon, temporarily, while I fix my shed up. And what I've got left to do is I've got to buy some cables now, some plug fittings for the solar panels, so I can feed through the roof. And I've got to put my solar panel inverters up and then wire them straight into the batteries. I think we will do one 24 volt and we'll do possibly two 12 volts. I don't know, until I get to it, I don't know. I could wire them all together and just send them to one battery and then just flick over between batteries, so I could have both sets of batteries on 24 volt, which would make sense because I can then feed in from the lorry's alternator without having to put any specialist electricals in there to, you know, slow the current down, so to speak. So with that all in mind, solar is fitted. We're ready to go on that one. I've just got to take the masking tape off. I'm waiting for the sealant to properly dry so I can get a knife on there and just trim that all up. And then I'm going to order some bullshit stickers that says Collins Solar Platforms Limited. That's me. Just to give it a little bit more of a professional look from the back. And I need to go down the yard and get some rubber caps. I've got one more cap here somewhere. No, I don't know what I've done with it. It's around here somewhere. Oh, whatever. I've got another cap here somewhere. I've got to fit that to the lorry on the inside edge, and then I've got to go down and get some more just to cap off. And then I think we'll look at getting some more aluminium, and we'll run it through the big aggressive saw. Evolution did send me a repair part for that, so we'll drag that out and we'll cut the alley down and we'll make a new frame. We'll get some more flat bar, we'll make some legs. This is going to be a bit of a difficult one to do because I'm only bolting it down in 4 places. I'll keep the less amount of holes as possible, but I'm going to have about 8 or 9 legs fitted to it, and there'll be sealant underneath, loads of sealant, so the weight will be spread on 4x2 steel bar, 2mm thick, and 4 legs, but 6 or 7 that won't be bolted through, and that should be enough to support it. And then we'll get some actuators, and we'll make those sides electrically lift up, both sides, and manually front and rear. And then we can put deck chairs up there, so things like, and this is the advantage of it, I could only think of a couple, but my mate put quite a few across to me. Sunbathe up there, and it'll be private because you've got solar panels in the way. People can't see you lying down up there, so it'll be pretty private. I've got a big belly, I don't like showing it off, simple as that. A bit paranoid about it, fat git, that's what I am, don't care. And also views. I do like watching ships when I'm at the beach. I like to sit there, pair of binoculars, and watch the ships. It's quite fascinating to watch them go by and see which ones leave port. I know, sad, whatever. It's just one of them things I like doing. And things like Felix Stowe, there's a car park up there I like to park in sometimes. You can't see over the wall, there's a sea wall there, you can't see over it. Being able to get up on the roof, I mean my back windows I'll be able to see over it, but getting up on the roof I can really see over it. And it's not very polite pulling deck chairs out in car parks, is it? So all I've got to do is raise my solar panels and put deck chairs up on the roof, and I can sit up there, not hurting anybody. Simple as that, not hurting anybody. So I can sit and enjoy the day, and then move on somewhere else if it's a no parking, overnight parking thing. Old bruh, like to look over the wall as well. You can't, it's too high. So views, definitely need it for views. Sunbathing, there's a couple of others that I just cannot remember. Restricted space as well. If I should find myself at a racetrack, then that might come in handy for that, who knows. There's loads of reasons, just I can't remember half of them. So with that, I'm going to clear off now. So look, thanks for viewing the video, subscribing and sharing, and for God's sake, press the like button, yeah, please, pretty please. I'm getting stressed with this. I apologise to all of those that had actually come in to watch this thing being built. Well, you could see the principles. It would work, just not on my van. I've decided it just isn't the right thing for my van. So it is possible to do. And with the lack of Chinese exports coming in, electronics are getting harder and harder to find. I've been on eBay, where there used to be 500-600 pages of Chinese junk, there's probably one page of 100 products, and that's it. So it's getting harder. You're having to go to places like Wish and Alibaba, which I haven't signed up to that. Don't trust it. Wish I do, because I've bought loads of stuff off it over the year or two. So yeah, we're done. See you next week, possibly. Bye.